the former CIA Director Leon Panetta. So he's not in any official capacity right now, I think. And that's probably why he feels free to speak freely. Sorry to say that word twice in one sentence. He feels free to speak freely. He is saying things that most of the ruling elite, the Beltway crew, the U.S., the ruling elite in Israel are not willing to say. One of those was, and I brought this to you years ago, he said that what's going on in Ukraine is a proxy war between the U.S. and Russia. And he said that right as it started. He said it on live television, which you don't normally see a former CIA director admitting that stuff. He also had other roles in other administrations. And here he is just the other day saying something about Israel's plot in Lebanon, well, Israel's actions in Lebanon.
That we saw this past week, killing dozens and injuring thousands, including children, some viewed as a deception one step too far. The United Nations labeled the operation a violation of international law, and it's raised some eyebrows here at home, too.
The ability to be able to place an explosive in technology that is very prevalent these days and turn it into a war of terror, really, a war of terror. This is something new.
Is it terrorism?
I don't think there's any question that it's a form of terrorism.
Former Defense Secretary and former Director of the CIA, Leon Panetta, wasted no words in describing what he fears may be the result of letting this particular genie out of the box.
This has gone right into the supply chain, right into the supply chain. And when you have terror going into the supply chain, it makes people ask the question, what the hell is next?
So there you have former CIA Director Leon Panetta calling it terrorism, which is what most of our mainstream media, the U.S. government, etc., Israeli government, refused to call it terrorism. Many of them called it a precise attack. Many of them called it a ruse. New York Times called it a ruse and a Trojan horse. But it's terrorism. It's just straight up terrorism. I mean, it's literally no different than what the Unabomber did. And it's just straight up terrorism. And here you have the former CIA director saying it's terrorism, admitting it's terrorism. Let's just remember that when other people try and tell you that, oh, Israel is, being careful, that they're not striking at civilians, that they're only going, that only went after Hezbollah, even though it killed an 8-year-old child. When they're doing that, just remember that you have literally the former CIA director calling it terrorism and saying that this is an unprecedented level of going into the supply chain and turning the supply chain of common commodities into weapons of war. And this could be done with anything. I mean, it could be done with children's dolls. Like you get a Teddy Ruxpin, whatever the modern day equivalent of that is. I know that makes me sound 900 years old, but you get a Teddy Ruxpin from the 1980s, and you put a device in there where the kid presses the button and it blows up the whole house because you say, oh well, we had some reports that the kid's father once sent an email to Hamas or something. Is that fine? We're just anything that people buy, you can just put a bomb inside now. It's just horrific.